All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're getting right into the first and maybe the most important step in mastering your cloud costs. Before you can optimize or forecast anything, you need one crucial thing: clarity. So let's dive in and figure out how to get it.
So let's just start with a feeling I'm pretty sure you know all too well. You open up that monthly cloud bill, you see that big number at the bottom, and it's like you've been handed a map to a city you've never even heard of, written in a language you don't speak, and oh yeah, it's pitch black outside.
You know, there's actually a name for this feeling. We call it the cloud cost fog. It's that murky, confusing state where your usage is way up, the bills are a total maze, and when you ask that one critical question, hey, who spent this? You just get a bunch of blank stares. Accountability? It just evaporates in a fog.
But, and this is the good news, there is a way to burn off this fog. And it all starts with the very first domain in the FinOps framework. This is a set of practices designed to bring, sharp, crystal clear visibility right where there used to be all that confusion.
And the whole point of this domain? It's actually super powerful. It's about getting a complete, accurate, and this is key, a shared understanding of how your organization is actually using the cloud. We're trying to move way beyond just looking at the final bill. We want to connect every single dollar back to its usage, to the metrics, and ultimately, to the value it's creating for the business. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, right? This is how it's done. It's a pretty logical flow when you think about it. First, you have to gather all the data, everything. Then you got to clean it up, make it all consistent. Next, and this is a big one, you assign every single dollar to its rightful owner. And finally, you build out your reporting so that everyone can see exactly what's going on.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual mechanics. We're going to look at the core capabilities. Think of these as the engines that power this whole process and build the foundation for absolutely everything that comes next in FinOps.
And really, it all comes down to three key pillars. You can think of it like a three-legged stool, right? If any one of those legs is wobbly or just plain missing, the whole thing is going to come crashing down. These next three capabilities, they have to work together perfectly to turn all that raw, confusing data into intelligence you can actually use. So the first leg of our stool is data ingestion. And this is all about casting the widest net you possibly can. You can't understand the full picture if you're only looking at your AWS or your Azure bill. No way. You have to pull in data from your SaaS tools, your CDN, your observability platforms, literally everything. The rule is simple. If it's part of your tech spend, it needs to be counted.
Next up is allocation. And let me tell you, this is where the real magic happens. But it's also where the real work is. Because without a clear allocation strategy, all that data you just ingested, it's just noise. This is where you map every single line item to a team or a project or maybe even a specific feature. And the biggest challenge here? Figuring out how to fairly split up those shared costs, things like support or network egress, so that everyone feels like the system is fair and equitable.
And finally, our third leg, reporting. Because look, all that beautifully ingested and perfectly allocated data is completely worthless if it's just locked away in a spreadsheet on someone's laptop, right? This is all about delivering the right information to the right people in the right place, whether that's a high-level dashboard for a VP or maybe a real-time alert in Slack for an engineer whose service just suddenly spiked in cost.
Now, it's really important to remember that these pillars aren't just, technical checkboxes. They are deeply, deeply connected to the core philosophy of FinOps itself, the cultural why that's really driving the technical how.
And this slide just illustrates that cultural shift perfectly. Look at these principles. Teams need to collaborate. Well, that's impossible if everyone's arguing over different sets of data, right? That's why ingestion is so critical. Everyone takes ownership. That only works if people know what they actually own, which is the entire point of allocation. And making data accessible, timely, and accurate, come on, that's the whole mission of the reporting pillar. These capabilities are what bring the principles to life.
So, what's the big payoff for all this foundational work? It's not about making pretty charts, that's for sure. It's about being able to confidently answer the most critical questions about your cloud spend, those big, hairy questions that used to get totally lost in the fog.
Let's start with the most basic one, but honestly, one that can be surprisingly tough to answer without a structured approach. What technologies are we actually using, and what are we really spending on them?
And the answer comes directly from our first and third pillars. See how it all connects? Data ingestion goes out and gathers every single piece of the puzzle, and reporting assembles it all into one clear picture. Suddenly, there's no more shadow IT, no more surprise bills at the end of the month. You just get a complete, unambiguous view of your entire tech landscape and exactly what it costs.
Okay, now for the big one. This is the question that just cuts right through that cloud cost fog. Who in the organization is actually responsible for this usage and this cost? Who owns it?
And the allocation pillar answers this with surgical precision. Because you've already done the hard work of defining the rules, there's no more guesswork. There's no more finger pointing. You can trace every single dollar from the bill straight back to the team that spent it. And what that creates is an unbreakable line of accountability.
And finally, how do you empower everyone to be a part of the solution, right? How do you get this crucial information into the hands of all the different people who need it? The engineers on the front lines, the finance managers, the product owners?
Well, that is the job of the reporting pillar. It's all about breaking down those data silos. By creating dashboards and reports that are timely, consistent, and super accessible, you put the power of this information directly into the hands of the people who can use it to make smarter, more cost-conscious decisions every single day.
And that brings us to the most important question of all. This entire domain, everything we've talked about, is about building a solid foundation of understanding. But understanding, that's just the starting line. It's not the finish. Once you have this incredible clarity, that's when the real journey of optimization and strategic decision-making can truly begin. So, I'll leave you with this. Now that you can see everything, what are you going to do about it?